How about an AM Superhet and BDST update? Good Friday afternoon to you, YouTube. It is about 5:25 now in the afternoon. Late afternoon, I guess you'd call it. Here today with a hopefully short update on the BDST as well as the AM Superhet projects. So I'm not going to belabor the fact that's what we're here for, but I'm going to take you to the computer, and you'll notice I'm wearing my red hat here. I just felt like doing it. You know, sometimes you do that. Sometimes you just feel like doing things. That's what I felt like doing. Besides that, I had to kind of show or hide my messy hair. So, like I say, Bob's been helping me a little bit on the AM Superhet receiver. I think what we're going to do is, well, you'll hear in the update, but I think that's the way to go. I think on with this, and hopefully you guys like the changes to the BDST project as well. New circuit board coming and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that, and we'll join you after that and close this out. Alright, for this part of the video, what we're going to do is take a look at the circuit in question for the AM Superhet receiver. This is kind of reduced to just basically the front end of the radio with the first IF shown here, and that will not really come into play, but I thought we'd at least show that part of it. The way I see it, and the way I think it works, the signal for the radio comes in the ferrite loop antenna right here. There it is. And I think it basically is tuned by the tuning capacitor. This section right here is the section that tunes the antenna for the radio signal. Now, that is tuned and passed through here, this coil, this is a transformer, and goes into the mixer. Now you'll see that it goes into the mixer here on the base of the transistor. Now, at the same time, these ganged tuning capacitors here are ganged this way. In other words, every time this top one is turned, the bottom one is turned also. And in turn, what that does is sends the signal down to the oscillator coil and tunes the oscillator. So basically, when you tune a station, it tunes the oscillator at the same time to be supposedly constantly 455 kilohertz above the signal that you're tuning. So that's the way that works. Okay, then it's fed into the oscillator transistor, and it oscillates, and the oscillator part comes right out here. And if you look up here, that's the same point as this one right here. And so, in other words, if there was a line drawn from here to here, that would be the same thing. So once it's fed into here, comes in through the emitter and mixes with the signal coming from the antenna, the radio signal, and it's passed on to the first IF. And that's the way I see it, and I think that's how it works. Now, what I did, Bob got involved a little bit, and he wanted me to measure the frequency at this point here. And we did that, actually, at this point here. Let me change that. Whoops. This point here is where we actually measured the signal, I do believe. He said the intersection of the 4K7 and the 10 nanofarad, so that's where I measured it at. So what I was getting there was if I tuned the radio to the bottom of the frequency, I think we were getting, I forget exactly how much it was, but it was over a megahertz, I know that. And if I went to the other end of the extreme, and I was getting four, almost 5 megahertz, I think, at one time. So either my counter is off, or that's not an accurate measurement or something. Because at the same time, what I was doing, I fed in a a signal from my signal generator, 540 kilohertz signal at the low end of the with the tuning condenser set to the low end, and I was hearing the signal coming out the speaker, or out the the signal tracer. So I know that part's working. I mean, whether it was the harmonic of the right frequency or what, it did work. It came out the other end. So you know, you have to kind of think that, you know, at least that part's working if you get a signal out the other end. And I wasn't direct coupled. I was just inductively coupled with a loop on the signal generator, and basically laying against the loop antenna here, and it was a good strong signal. So you know, it was coming out there. So where I think I'm having a problem is I just think that I'm almost proven, you know, with the last video I did, that there is a station there that I'm receiving. It's just the fact that it seems like it's overloaded. That's my opinion on it, and whether or not that has something to do with the AGC here, I don't know. But I did put a meter on that, and the AGC does vary up and down with signals that have received. Now it doesn't do a minus; it does a plus. It's not like a tube radio where, you know, AGC goes negative. This is a plus voltage, and it did go up as the signals was stronger. So now maybe that's backwards. I don't know, but I'm just, you know, this is just the way it showed in the schematic to build it, and that's just the way I built it. So I would think, my way of thinking is that, you know, it would vary. It would go down, I would think. If anybody else has an idea about that, let me know. But I would think a negative voltage would, you know, is the stronger the signal, the more negative the voltage should be to, you know, counteract the stronger signal. And so, now this says AGC. For you guys that are TV guys, you'll be used to AGC, but the radio guys, they're used to AVC, and you know, it's the same thing, but it's more accurately it's called AGC because it varies the gain on these transistors, and on each stage it varies the gain. It doesn't really vary the volume. It makes a difference at the other end on the volume. It actually makes it lower or higher, but it's adjusting the gain. It's not adjusting the volume. So that's the confusion there on the AGC versus the AVC. So that's what I'm seeing now. Like I said, I don't think, you know, with the signal coming out the other end, I don't think there's any problem in the IF. If it is, then, you know, I don't know what it would be. But you know, I think what I may do is just build a new one of these. Remember, I got 2 or 3 more of those radio kits, and I'm going to use the parts to build another one of these on. I'm going to basically put this, not this first IF, but the mixer and oscillator on one board, and then the IFs on the other board, and go that route with it, and see if we can get it to work that way. But I know, like I said, this is actually, you know, the frequency is changing as you change the tuning capacitor, and so, you know, that's being done right. Also, there was some question on if I had the right connection here on this end. This says pink and blue. Now mine are yellow and black, but I know that this is the right two. The yellow and black match the pink and the blue because they're the higher resistance side. You can see how small this coil is compared to this one. So I did check that. I also checked the tuning capacitor, each side of the tuning capacitor, and I have this wired correctly. This is the 160 picofarad side here going to the antenna, and this is the 68, I think it says 68 nanofarad or picofarad going to the oscillator, and I have those wired correctly. So I did change these around just to test it out, and it was reading much higher then, so or actually lower on the frequency, but it's, you know, I don't know. That's what I think. I think maybe my frequency counter is not exactly accurate on that, but you know, I could be wrong on that too, so I don't know. But anywho, that's that's what I'm doing on this, and like I said, everything appears to be wired correctly. So I think I'm going to break it down and do another one of these. Not right away, but I am going to do another one of these and just do the this section here, everything except for this first IF. I'm not going to have the first IF on there at all. Yeah, this one here. That one will be gone completely, and we'll have an output from Q2, and that'll be basically it. And so we'll see how that works and see what kind of frequencies we get out of that. But also, I did measure the other, the original tuning capacitor that I had from the radio in here, and it measures exactly the same as this. And I'm getting exactly the same. I don't know if I mentioned that in the video, but this is the tuning capacitor was a brand new one I put back in there. I thought maybe that was causing the interference, that old tuning capacitor, but it wasn't. It does exactly the same thing with the new one in there. So anyway, the old one is fine, and I'll probably use the new one on the new build and just put the old one back in here and go from there. So alright, anybody got any ideas on that? Be sure to let me know. I appreciate it. And on to the next part of the video. Alright, we're back once more here on the computer, and I'm in Paint again. I don't know if this is going to be the first section or the last section I do on this, but anyway, I did another section on the AM Superhet, and I have recorded that first, so I don't know which order it'll be up here on the video, but anyway, that's why I said again. This is the BDST, obviously, and this is the, hopefully, final revision. Now this one's a little bit different. This is a full-size board. It will cover the entire bottom of the case. You'll see six screw holes there, and that's the way that's going to work. Now there are some changes, obviously, brought on partly by my last build on the where I stuck the volume pot in the middle of the board, and then ran some jumpers down to the board. And Bob kind of liked that idea. And so I think he decided to come up with this. And the way this works is on this bottom here where it says 9 volt right here, that is going to be the power connector. And this will be on the left side as you're looking with the speaker on top, looking to front. And so that is the connector for the voltage, and that's one of those solder in type jacks, and it will stick out on the left side here of the case. The same thing goes for the B and C, which is going to be right here. That'll be your input, and that will be coming out the same side, and there will be a hole there for that. And the third thing is we're going to look at is the switch for the audio and the RF right here, and it's going to go here. And now this is the only one that doesn't solder directly to the board. It will use the jumpers like I used on the pot, and when I did the one I did. The switch itself will be basically right here on the side, and lay out here with the leads coming out like this, and then there'll be jumpers to these 3 holes here, and that's how it will connect. It also exits on the or has the toggle on the side of the case right here. And lastly is the combination on-off switch and 50K linear potentiometer. And we those are a right angle type thing, and we found those, and they've got a pretty good deal on those. So that's the way it's going to lay out. So there won't be any wiring other than the speaker, which is over here on this side now, and the speaker itself will be right in this area here. So it shouldn't be a long type of a jumper that has to be run for that. So that's the way that's going to work. And now there will be another wire run for the you remember the grounding lug for the switch here. it will be run over to probably one of these lugs or something similar to that, to where it grounds off that switch. That's the only exposed, really the only exposed thing that's on here. Everything else is grounded, like the BNC connector is already grounded. The power connector won't even be exposed, and the potentiometer will have a volume knob on it, so it's not going to be exposed either. So we will ground that, and so there's no big hum difference there. And so that's that. And like I said, we're hoping this is the last revision of the board, and that we can get this stuff out. I have put a notice on the website to this effect, and anybody wants to check that out can. But I thought you guys would get a kick out of this, because I think this is going to be a pretty good kit, and I'm really looking forward to getting these out and seeing how well they are received, I guess is what I'd say. So that's the update on the BDST, and so let's go back to the other part of the video. Alright, you have seen now the updates for both projects, and maybe or hopefully you'll see that I think agree. And if you have any suggestions on that AM Superhet as far as something I'm missing, or if I messed up completely on my explanation or what, be sure and let me know. But I think that's how it works, and I think that's just my feeling on the whole thing. Is I think it's just overloading the whatever, and that's why the static or the interference or whatever you want to call that noise that you get instead of the radio station. Now as to why it makes that frequency meter go so high, I don't know. That should not be, I don't think. I think at the most the at 16, I'll just say 1600, should be 455. Above that, it's just a little bit above 2 megahertz on the high end, and it was up in the 4 or 5 megahertz range is where it was at. So I've got to fix that. I think that would be a big plus. I think if it was, you know, where it was supposed to be, we'd have a better signal coming out. I believe, anyway. And I didn't mention this on the update, but I have tweaked these tweaked the IF cans, all of those, and well, they're all 3 of those right there. But I even tweaked the oscillator a little bit just to see if I could get a better signal. But I've got them about as good as I can get as far as the adjustment on them. So really, not too much else to do with them. And so on the BDST, now that, like I said, takes Bob sent that in today. So it'll take I think, what did I say, 18 days, something like that. It's not as long as it usually is for shipping from China, because they usually get that turnaround in 24 hours. They're ready to ship it back. So that shouldn't take as long, I don't think, as a shipment from China usually takes. So we're hoping so. Now, like I said, on this other tuning capacitor, I did measure that. It measures exactly the same as the new one, so there's nothing wrong with that either. So I think when I build the new one, I think I will take the new mixer. I think I'm going to use this tuning capacitor that's on the board, and then I'll take the old one, put it back on the board for the original one, and we'll go from there. But I think we get one stage working at a time, maybe do that. I don't know. We'll see. Again, if you have any suggestions, let me know. That's going to do me. You guys have a great day. I think it's about supper time for me. I did my Walmart grocery shopping yesterday, as well as visited Mom, and I actually got her, which I'm rather proud of, I actually got her to go out yesterday. She said she was hungry. We're in her room talking, and she says, "Oh, I'm hungry." I said, "Well, let's go." So she grabbed her purse, and out the door we went. We went to the local McDonald's there in Madison, and she didn't want to go in because she said she wasn't dressed for it. And so we just brought the food back for it to come back to her apartment. She thinks it's her apartment. She also didn't know she was in Madison. She thought she was in Vivi. So, you know, is what it is. But at least she got to go out, and she was just totally amazed at the fact that it was warm out. And you know, she said, "Well, I haven't been out in a year." I said, "Mom, it hasn't been that long." But so anyway, I'm glad she did get out a little bit, because I think maybe she will work up to it. But I think I'd like to get her to come home, spend the night or something here, or you know, stay with somebody or whatever. And you know, it'd be good for her, I think. You know, so anywho, that's the way that's gonna work. I'm gonna go in and fix me some supper while I make this video, and probably be posted tomorrow, probably my usual time, about noon. And you guys have a pleasant evening. It's Friday evening, so have some fun. Be safe. So you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. We will see you